Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and today we're going to be talking about immigration. Yes, the great thing that's been a huge problem here in the United States and probably around the world, and we're probably dealing with a lot of, probably criminals going through our border and all that great stuff. Not only that, there is apparently going to be a invasion problem in Arizona, so there's a lot about that going on. But here's the great thing that Biden apparently wants to do, because this is going to help a lot of things. Well, there's something that we call vetting, and vetting usually allows us to, maybe cycle through the psychopaths, the people that are probably, either rapists, child grabbers, the whole nine yards. Bad people we just don't want into our country, right? Well, apparently Biden says debate to differ because there's going to be no vetting involved. For what we're seeing here, I mean, the article is telling me it. We'll see what Biden actually does and see on how ludicrous this is. Republican leader Kevin McCarthy tears into Biden for making it easier for migrants to get to the U.S. with ID cards during the worst border crisis in history. That has seen almost 1 million across undetected a year. Oh boy. Well, this is great. Biden's obviously doing a great job as president. Everybody loves him. Not like they haven't created a Brandon Falls in his own state with a Delaware, where they make fun of him falling off a bicycle. Yes. We haven't had this great gaffes with Trump, but we are having all kinds of gaffes with Biden here. And honestly, if you talk to anybody that talks about Biden, they really just don't like the man. Well, for good reason, because our gas prices are through the roof, our fruit prices are also through the roof, and it's also been going down that we may have a recession, maybe even a depression. So this is just all going great. I love that my gas is around $6 to $7 a gallon here. It's just fantastic. But enough about the Biden. Let's get into the actual policy that he actually potentially wants to implement. Kevin McCarthy said President Joe Biden can use to implement policies that make it easier for illegal immigrants to come to the U.S. as the administration works to roll out a program providing ID cards to immigrants. During the worst border crisis in history, the Biden administration is now handing out ID cards to illegal immigrants to make it easier to travel throughout the United States, the U.S. House Minority Leader told the DailyMail.com. That's the exact opposite of what he should be doing, McCarthy said. Yeah, exactly, because there's no vetting involved. Now, people want to say, oh, let's have open borders, let's have all this stuff. Okay, that's great. But then, how do we vet the people that are coming in when we have those open borders, right? So, when we have those open borders, random people come in, we don't know what they are, what their affiliation is, if they're actually good people, people that will actually benefit our country, etc., and we need to do that. Now, some people are saying, well, not good hard workers, or whatever. Mostly, I would say good people is, not criminals that are coming into our country. So people that, like I mentioned before, not rapists, child grabbers, felons, etc., like these type of people that we have to vet to make sure that they're okay to come into our country, because we don't want to let these type of people coming into our country. If the story was true about that 10-year-old girl being sexually assaulted and then getting pregnant is true by an illegal immigrant, then that would also show why we need this vetting system in place so that we can prevent this from happening. This also prevents, people coming into the country, getting pregnant, and then, and then having a reason to, and then we have to separate their kids from their family, which we shouldn't have to do anyways. We should just kick that person from the country along with their parents if that's so fits, because that's probably the best method to do so. However, that is neither here nor there. The Biden administration plans to launch an initiative giving temporary ID cards to migrants awaiting decisions on their immigration proceedings so they can more easily access services and government benefits. Yes, because obviously they want these illegal immigrants to vote for them. That's part of the reason why. But they're making it terrible for people. So, this is just a travesty. Everything that he does is just so bad. Illegal immigrants and asylum-seeking migrants awaiting final decisions on their cases often have difficulty getting housing, healthcare, and transportation without identification cards. Yes, which they probably should. Now, what is the last time they were talking about this where they talk about identification cards are racist and you shouldn't need identification cards to vote? Yeah, where is that going? So why are they needing identification cards or temporary ones? Well, it's kind of funny considering the elections are almost up for midterms, and the fact that they can use those temporary ID cards to vote for their current for the 2024. Yeah, that's probably the reason why they want them to have the temporary ID cards. So that way they get the temporary ID cards, they vote for the people that they want them to vote for, and then but the ID cards eventually go away. So that's probably their plan here. It's not really too much of a surprise. In order to reach some of these obstacles and serve as a mutual benefit to the government, officials are now considering a pilot program that would provide ID cards while incentivizing checks-ins and more frequent communication with law enforcement throughout immigration proceedings. Two sources familiar with planning told Axios. The cards would feature a photo and biographic identifiers. It would also include cutting-edge security features, an ICE spokesperson said. Since the start of the fiscal year 2021 in October, approximately 900,000 migrants have avoided detection when crossing illegally into the U.S., sources at the Department of Homeland Security told Fox News. This would also increase the amount of illegal immigrants coming because that means that the more people will want to come because they will have more free access to our stuff. So the increase of the actual illegal immigrants would go up. Which means there will be more sex trafficking, more of this other type of stuff, more human trafficking, all this other stuff would increase because more people will want to illegally come here and get ID cards. What's the point of giving actual ID cards to U.S. citizens? What's the point? The illegal immigrants just get them, so what's the point of having ID cards anyways? Just asinine, dude. Asinine. No point of being an actual American anymore. Let's just erase that. 500,000 of those so-called getaways happened since October 1st, 2022, and there are still 3 months left in the fiscal year. Meanwhile, nearly 1.75 million migrants have run-ins with Customs and Border Protections and the southern border as so far in fiscal year 2022, the most of any previous year at this point. The Biden administration is planning to launch a program that would provide temporary ID cards to undocumented migrants in the U.S. so they can more easily access government services and benefits. This is where this is all coming from here. And the actual surge of the southwest, of migrant crossings at the southwest border. The last year was the deadliest year for migrants at the border since the United Nations started tracking in 2014, with 728 fatalities on the books. That's a lot. I didn't even know there was that many. The UN has counted 340 more deaths this year, so that means around 1,028 more fatalities. Thanks to having an open border, more people are actually dying than there is, all that stuff. And let's not talk about the huge travesty about that truck having all those illegal migrants or those people coming in, and a good majority died. Even kids died in that. That was horrible. Thanks, Biden, by the way. You caused that. But that comes after congressional mandates made it so CBP changed how it defined fatalities along the border to include any of those who died in custody, during arrest, or when agents were nearby. CBP told Reuters that there were 151 such CBP-related deaths in fiscal year 2021, a previously unreported figure. Any bodies that CBP discovered are not included in its data. The new ID cards are ideally would be provided to migrants who entered the U.S. illegally over the Mexican border but are not in detention centers or other unauthorized people going through the immigration removal processes. It would allow these immigrants to more easily prove to the authorities that they are already in the immigration system and would provide incentive to unauthorized migrants to provide accurate information to the government on their location. Currently, illegal immigrants going through court proceedings would need to physically check in the law enforcement at the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Field Office. Administration officials are scrambling to get congressional approval before October to roll out the test program amid fears that a Republican takeover in November could prevent it from launching. Yes, which I hope we do. We don't need more illegals coming in here. Come on. It's a huge problem. We don't need open borders. We need secure borders. Also, a lot of countries don't even have open borders to begin with. We're the only country that does this. June figures show migrant encounters with CBP dropping for the first time in 5 months to 207,000 the month prior. CBP encountered a record-breaking 240,000 migrants at the southern border. Despite the massive number of migrants coming into the country, a vast majority are being immediately processed and deported under Title 42, which allows expedited expulsion of illegal migrants and asylum seekers in a public health emergency. Biden's team tried to end the practice in May after it was first initiated under the Trump administration in 2019, but challenges in court led to it being upheld. Plans for the new ID card program, according to the sources, will likely include a QR code that would redirect to an application that would provide the individual access to the court information and documents. The hope is that this program would also help decrease the number of freedom of information at FOIA requests related to immigration cases. My bad. Revelations of this new program comes after 16 people died when a vessel carrying Haitian migrants capsized off the coast of the Bahamas. 4 women and 17 men were rescued from the incident. We mourn lives lost of those seeking a better way of life, Immigration Minister Keith told Reuters. Those here with families and friends in Haiti encourage their loved ones not to risk their lives. The Bahamas police said that the boat capsized 7 miles off the island of New Providence. So there we have it. Yeah, I am not in favor of this because this is a huge problem specifically for the United States of America and how we're getting these people. Because at this point, they just go do any type of government stuff and then get into access to border. It's like, no, you're illegal. You're coming in here illegally. You need to go through the processes, and you don't deserve to have anything until you're actually legal. This hurts the actual immigrants that came in here legally in the first place. The immigrants that actually come here legally and, want to seek a better life and stuff and all that, good. They came here legally, they worked hard to get here, and now they're trying to prosper and better the country and better themselves as well. All for that. But I'm not for illegal immigrants coming in here and getting ID cards for not even being legal. That's ridiculous. Good way to just get rid of all the actual people that are coming into our country legally. So far, it's like, now they just feel bad because they're like, well, I could have just came here illegally, not have to do all this hard work to actually get here legally, and go here illegally and be able to prosper in the society. No, that's just BS, man. That's just so much bullshit. This is a huge problem with Biden. We told people this was going to happen. We told people that putting in Biden was going to be a huge issue, and now we're facing the huge problems of it. Well, I guess people get what they vote for, right? Unfortunately, I didn't vote for this, but other people have, so I guess I have to suffer along with them. And the rest of you that also have to suffer with them. Well, guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.